What's going on, guys, and welcome to another Doctor Who Series 11 review. Today I'm going to be reviewing Series 11, Episode 5, the Tsuranga Conundrum. So yeah, we're up to Episode 5 of Series 11 already. This is halfway through the series. This is literally the halfway mark. Now, before I get started, I do want to say, you can probably tell by the way I sound again, by my voice, I am still a little bit sick. I am slowly getting over it now, but the Dragonfire review I only recorded that yesterday, because I was a bit late on it because of my sickness. Now I'm recording this today, about an hour after the episode aired, and I'm still a little bit sick, so yeah, sorry about that. But yeah, today we're going to be talking about Episode 5 of Series 11, the Tsuranga Conundrum. Now, this one seems to be a bit strange kind of with fans. Now, this series altogether I think has been very, very divided as a whole. Honestly, I mean, I was never really, this is the first time I've actually been doing live reviews kind of along with the series, kind of, with episodes coming out. I haven't done that with any other series of anything so far, especially Doctor Who. But, I've kind of had an idea of how people have appreciated episodes and all that sort of stuff, for a while now. Whereas with this series, it seems like it's really, really divided. I mean, I think the first episode for most people was kind of just average. So a few people kind of put it a bit more higher up, but for the most people, it was a pretty decent series opener. But as an actual episode, it was kind of average. Episode 2 split the Ghost Monument split the crowd quite a bit. Some people absolutely loved it. Some people just weren't the biggest fan of it, like me. I didn't hate the Ghost Monument, but I didn't love it. Rosa, I think, was a real split. Some people absolutely loved that one, giving it like 10s out of 10. And then there's people like me who wasn't the biggest fan. I gave it a 7. Honestly, I think I was being quite generous there, considering, I think, honestly, if I was being more honest and, not kind of being slightly persuaded by other people's views, I would have probably given Rosa a even, worse review. I still think it's a decent episode for what it is. It just doesn't feel like Doctor Who. Arachnids in the UK was the opposite. A lot of people really didn't like that episode. However, I actually quite enjoyed that one, giving it 7.5. Still nothing amazing, still kind of on the average scale, but I think because of the action in that, in Arachnids in the UK, it just kind of brought it back for me and felt more like Doctor Who than any other episode we'd seen in the series so far. Yes, there was issues with the story, but the episode itself, on an excitement factor, was in my opinion the best so far. Now, when it comes to the Tsuranga Conundrum, once again, we're very, very split, but on the most, I think it's safe to say that on the most part, a lot of people are really bashing on this one, and I'm going to be honest, I'm going to say it straight off the gate, I didn't really enjoy this episode. I really didn't. It was just a mess, but we're going to get into that. So first of all, let's start off with the cast. Jodie Whittaker as the 13th Doctor, she's alright. Honestly, I think she's alright. I've said throughout the whole series that she's definitely very, very good. She is the Doctor. I say this every single time. She is the Doctor, but she hasn't wowed me yet. Personally, I actually thought, a lot of people said that in Arachnids in the UK, she wasn't actually as good. I actually think she gave probably her best performance, and she had some of the best writing in Arachnids in the UK, apart from the one moment, with the spider at the end, which I think was totally out of character and didn't make much sense. Apart from that, though, I think she really stole the show in last week's episode, and gave her best performance so far. In this episode, yes, she still gives a really good performance, and to be honest, she's more of a forward focus than her companions in this one, which is a bit of a change, to be honest. But she just doesn't wow me in this one. She really doesn't do much. I honestly I don't think this is Jodie Whittaker's worst performance, really. I mean, she hasn't really had a bad performance. I think this is one of the worst writings for her, though. I really just think she's written just not very interestingly, and to be honest, as we go through this review, we're going to see that pop up quite a lot. So Bradley Walsh as Graham O'Brien. Okay, all 4 episodes so far, I've said that Graham has pretty much been the one thing that's really been getting better and better and better each episode. I have absolutely loved Graham. In this episode, sadly, his reign has ended. It's kind of halted. Graham didn't have anything to do in the story, and it just feels really unbalanced altogether, because we went for him having so much to do and so many great moments, great dialogue, to him just doing nothing in this episode, absolutely nothing at all. The same goes for Tosin Cole as Ryan Sinclair. Once again, he has nothing to do in this story. He talks a little bit about his family and has a little bit of a conversation to Yaz about his dad. and that's it. He doesn't really do anything. And then we go to Mandip Gill as Yasmin. I thought she was actually pretty decent in the last episode. We got a bit of backstory, maybe not as much as I would have liked, but we got a bit more to know about her in that one. However, in this one, once again, she's really left in the back again. To be honest, I think she's probably the most forward front companion in this episode out of the 3, but still, she doesn't really have anything to do. So yeah, honestly, if you took all 3 companions out of the story, just left the Doctor with all the other cast, the guest cast, the story wouldn't really have changed, and that is not a good thing to say. Now, the guest cast in this one also weren't anything particularly amazing. I think on the whole, most of them were at least relatively interesting. I thought the pregnant guy was a little bit weird, well, very weird, and to be honest, I don't know what the point of him was. We'll get onto that later, but you know, on the whole though, as characters, they were okay, apart from one character, and as actors, they were all okay, apart from one, Astos, the first character we meet, who's one of the doctors on this, what we turn out to be like this spaceship thing, the Tsuranga spaceship or whatever the hell it's called. Yeah, Brett Goldstein, I think is how you pronounce his name, Goldstein. He is not a good actor. Can I just say that right now? One of the worst acting performances I've seen on Doctor Who in the new series. Definitely the worst of this series so far. His acting was so bad. It was so dry. It was such a bone dry acting experience. Just such a boring character to watch, especially when he, you know, randomly walks into the elevator where, you know, stupid crazy frog, as the Who addicts seem to call him, the villain of the story, you know, the little, what's it called? I forgot what it's called now. I've completely forgotten what it's called. It's I honestly can't remember. Such a forgettable thing, but we'll get onto that in a minute. Yeah, when he goes into the elevator, and you know, if it turns out that not the elevator, I can't even, my brain can't even process with the story. With the pod, you know, the escape pod, and he realizes that it's gonna blow out into space and it's gonna explode. He has no emotion whatsoever. He's the most bone dry character I've ever seen. His acting was awful. Let me just say that I'm pretty happy that he died early on, because he would have really dragged this one down even more than it already dragged. Alright, so now onto the story itself. And well, what story? What story? What's that? The Tsuranga Conundrum? What was that story? Oh yeah, that's right, there wasn't really a story at all. So I just looked up the name of the absolutely forgettable and laughable villain. If you can even say villain, Pating. It was called. Apparently that's a race of these weird little things that, like I said, the Who addicts said that it reminded them of Crazy Frog, which I can totally see. Yeah, Pating, what was it? It was pretty cute. Was that the intention? I don't think it was. It was barely seen. Let's just say that. It was literally seen, I think, 2 times properly. We saw it at the start when it you know, just finished jettisoning Mr. Bad Acting out into space. We saw it kind of yell at the Doctor and then kind of run off. Then we saw it kind of, you know, scrapping around in all the wiring in the ventilation shaft or something. We barely saw it then, though. It was kind of just behind of it, and then we just kind of saw it towards the end get shot out into space with a glowing orange stomach. What was it? What was the point of it? Now, I've said this in the previous reviews. This series so far hadn't had a very good villain, really a very good enemy at all. I mean, the woman who fell to Earth, honestly, looking back at it, was probably the best villain we've had so far, with Tim Shaw, whatever the hell his name was. Probably the best villain we've seen so far, to be honest, but still nothing amazing. Episode 2 didn't really have a villain with the floating pieces of cloth. Rosa didn't really have a villain at all, apart from Kratos, or whatever the hell his name was. Christos, I can't remember his name. The time agent dude, barely a villain, was just thrown in there, not really that important. You know, Arachnids in the UK had the spiders, so at least it did have something going for it, but it wasn't really a main villain. It was just kind of, here's the monster of the week. It was a very monster of the week villain. And then this time, we've literally just got that again with this silly little thing that's not really even out to kill people. Its main purpose, the reason it's here, is because it likes to eat energy, and it's draining up the energy. and you know, that's what it's doing. And it'll, you know, it won't eat people, but it'll eat the ship around them. I thought that was pretty cool, but where the hell do you go with that? And with the amount that they kind of built on this, it doesn't work at all. So yeah, the villain of the story, if you can even call it that, was crap. The pacing of the story was at an all-time low. I mean, this series as a whole has been very character-driven and very dialogue-driven. Chris Chibnall is very good at dialogue, I'll give him that. Although I do think his writing can be a little bit weird at times and a little bit off. I don't know, just a little bit off. He is very good at writing characters generally. However, a theme of this series, because of not having really standout villains, is that we've really focused on characters and dialogue and not on the villains themselves, and it really shows here. And you know what, the Doctor actually annoys me a bit in this one, because she explains some things far too much, far too thoroughly. She's just explaining things and you're just like, can you get on with it? Can we get into some action? This episode has so little action that I was really bored watching this one. I really was, especially when I came back after watching it, watched a couple of reviews, looked at some people's opinions, and I thought that was really crap. Yeah, the pacing is just absolutely terrible. It's really, you can't really say that it just slows down, because it doesn't. It's just slow the whole way through. There's barely a fast moment. There really is barely a fast moment. It ends pretty quickly. It kind of takes a bit to get going, but I mean, it gets going relatively quickly, but then nothing happens and then it ends. It just feels like the most drawn out plot I've ever seen, and it's just not good. So, the Tsuranga Conundrum. What did I think of it? Can you guess? I didn't enjoy it. I really didn't. In my opinion, definitely the weakest of the series so far. I said, and I still stand by this, that Arachnids in the UK is my favourite in the series so far. People last week said, a lot of people said that that was actually their least favourite. I think, yeah, it had issues with the story, but just on an excitement level, Arachnids in the UK, I think is the most action-packed story we've had so far. This one really just dims it down. I mean, I thought that, on the whole, the Ghost Monument was a little bit, you know, not really too actiony. This one makes the Ghost Monument look amazing. So because of that, I'm gonna rate, I'm gonna give it out of 10, the Tsuranga Conundrum. Honestly, I'm gonna give it a 3 out of 10. I really didn't enjoy this one. It was just really boring. The plot wasn't really there at all. The characters weren't that interesting at all. Even the main cast weren't really needed, and the Doctor herself was at her worst so far. And yeah, the villain was crap as well. So yeah, 3 out of 10. That's really all I can give it. Really is. But anyway, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please go ahead, like and subscribe. Comment what you thought of the Tsuranga Conundrum. Did you enjoy it? Or did you really quite despise it like me and a hell of a lot of other fans did? But anyway, I'll see you guys in the next video.